The night was heavy with mist and silence. Only the whispers of the wind moved through the broken forest. Jamin's hand was wrapped around Parton's as they stumbled along the muddy trail, searching for a way out after escaping the rival's ambush. His shirt was torn, blood seeping from the wound on his arm, but his eyes never left her. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Parton nodded, trying to catch her breath. "I'm fine. I'm just tired of running, Jamin. Every time we find peace, someone tries to destroy it." He gave a weak smile. "That's what happens when you work for two powerful enemies." Before Parton could reply, a faint sound echoed from behind the trees. A woman's voice. "Jamin, Parton." They both froze. That voice. It was too familiar to be imagined. Parton gripped his arm. "Did you hear that?" Jamin's heart skipped. He turned toward the sound, his pulse racing. Out of the mist stumbled Mincio, weak and trembling. Her once perfect hair now tangled, her face covered in scratches. Behind her was Quan, Jamin's missing bodyguard, his clothes soaked and torn. "She was wandering near the river," Quan said breathlessly. "I think she escaped from them." Parton's eyes widened in shock. "What? You're alive?" Mincio collapsed onto the ground, sobbing. "They locked me up for days. I thought I would die there. I managed to escape when they started fighting among themselves." Her voice shook as she added, "I didn't know where else to go. Please don't send me away." Jamin knelt beside her, torn between pity and suspicion. "Who followed you? Did anyone see you?" Mincio shook her head weakly. "No, I came alone." Jamin looked between the two women. He could see the hatred in Parton's eyes and the desperation in Mincio's. His voice came out, steady but firm. "Fine, you'll stay with us tonight. But once we reach the city, you're gone." "Thank you," Mincio whispered, pretending to sob again. Parton muttered under her breath. "If she tries anything, she'll regret coming back from the dead." That night, they found shelter in an old temple halfway down the mountain. The rain fell steadily, tapping softly on the broken roof. Jamin built a small fire while Parton sat close to him, resting her head on his shoulder. Mincio sat a few feet away, staring blankly into the flames. The silence between them was thick. Even the fire seemed to burn quietly, afraid to draw attention. Finally, Mincio spoke. "You two seem happy together." Parton raised an eyebrow. "Is that jealousy I hear or a confession?" Jamin shot her a warning look, but Parton continued. "Because if it's jealousy, I get it. It's hard watching someone else win the heart you want." Mincio forced a smile. "You're brave, Parton. I admire that." Parton leaned forward. "No, I'm smart. That's why I know a fake smile when I see one." Mincio's lips twitched, but she said nothing. The conversation ended there. Sometime after midnight, Parton woke up suddenly. Something felt off. The air was too quiet. Jamin was asleep beside her, his hand resting protectively near his gun. Then she saw it, a dim glow coming from the corner. Mincio was on the phone, whispering. Parton strained to listen. "They're both here," Mincio murmured. "Move in quietly. Kill the man. Leave the wife alive. I'll handle the rest." Parton's blood froze. For a moment, her heart forgot to beat. She crawled toward Jamin and shook his shoulder urgently. "Baby, wake up. Now, I swear on my ancestors, wake up." He blinked awake, confused. "What?" But before he could finish, Mincio turned, realizing she'd been caught. Her tears and weakness were gone. Her eyes were sharp, her hand clutching a gun. "I really hoped it wouldn't come to this," she said coldly. "But love makes people foolish. Goodbye, boss." The gun fired, a loud blast echoing through the temple. The bullet grazed Jamin's shoulder, making him stagger back. Parton screamed and grabbed the nearest thing, a burning stick from the fire pit. She swung it with full force. "You picked the wrong African wife to play with." The flaming stick hit Mincio's arm, making her drop the gun. The two women clashed violently, fire sparks flying, rain dripping from the ceiling. Mincio hissed, "You don't deserve him." Parton, panting and fierce, shot back, "You're right. I earned him." She kicked Mincio in the stomach, sending her crashing into the wall. Jaemin struggled up, bleeding but focused. He grabbed the gun and pointed it straight at her. "It's over, Minseo." Minseo smiled through the pain. "No, Jaemin. It's just beginning." Before he could fire, she threw a small smoke bomb on the floor. The entire room filled with thick white fog. By the time the smoke cleared, Minseo and Quan were gone. Rain poured harder as dawn broke. Parton sat beside Jaemin, pressing a cloth to his wound. "You should have let me finish her." He winced but smiled weakly. "You nearly did." "I hate her," Parton whispered, her voice trembling. "She came back like a ghost." Jaemin reached for her hand. Ghosts only return when something's unfinished. Maybe she wants revenge, or maybe someone bigger is controlling her. Parton's eyes widened. "You think she's working for the rivals again?" He nodded slowly. "Or maybe she never stopped." Parton looked away, her jaw tight. "Then we end it. No more running. No more hiding." Jaemin smiled faintly. "That's my girl." She looked at him, her heart softening despite the chaos. "Just promise me one thing, Jaemin." "What?" "Don't ever die before me." He chuckled softly. "I'll do my best." She leaned in and kissed him. Slow, deep, and desperate. The rain fell harder outside, but inside the temple, their hearts burned brighter than ever. Somewhere far away, Minseo watched them through binoculars, a bandage around her arm. She smirked and whispered into her earpiece. "Phase 2 begins tonight." The mountain roads were slick with rain as Jaemin's black SUV wound its way down the winding trail. The storm from the night before had quieted, but the silence that followed was heavier, thick, like the world was holding its breath. Parton sat in the passenger seat, hair tied up in a messy bun, still wearing Jaemin's oversized jacket. She looked out the window, her reflection staring back at her like a stranger. She whispered, "Every time I think we're done with the madness, something new happens." Jaemin kept his eyes on the road. "That's what life is when you've got enemies hiding behind smiles." She turned to him. "You mean like Minseo?" He nodded. "And whoever she's working for." Parton sighed and placed a hand over his. "Then we face them together, yeah?" He smiled faintly. "Always." For the first time in weeks, a fragile peace settled between them. The smell of pine trees and wet earth filled the car, and Parton leaned back, finally feeling safe enough to close her eyes. By evening, they reached the outskirts of Seoul. The skyline glittered with cold lights, and the traffic hummed like a restless beast. Jaemin parked in a quiet underground garage, one of his secret safe locations. The building above looked ordinary, but it was fitted with bulletproof glass, surveillance cameras, and a steel-reinforced panic room. Inside, Parton changed into something simple, a cream sweater and jeans. She tied her hair into a neat ponytail and walked barefoot through the penthouse, sipping tea. Jaemin was on the phone with one of his men, giving orders to strengthen the perimeter. "You think she'll come here?" Parton asked when he hung up. "She will," he said. "Minseo never lets go easily. But this time, she won't walk away." Parton grinned playfully. "You sound like a movie villain." "I love it." Jaemin chuckled. "Then you're my leading lady." She raised a brow. "As long as you don't kill me in the sequel." That night, they ate dinner. Together, grilled steak, rice, and kimchi stew. The mood was soft, almost romantic. Parton made jokes about her village girl fashion era, teasing herself for how she used to wear long skirts and old sweaters around the house. "Babe," she said between bites. "You remember that one time I wore a scarf so big you said it looked like a blanket?" He laughed. "I still have nightmares about it." Parton threw a napkin at him. "You didn't complain when I prayed all night instead of..." She stopped, blushing. He leaned forward, smirking. "Instead of what, sweetheart?" "Instead of giving you husband privileges." Jaemin grinned wider. "That's what I thought." They both burst into laughter. For a moment, it felt like the chaos of their world had melted away. They were just two people in love, surviving together. But outside, in the dark alleys of Seoul, Minseo watched from a distance. She stood beside a sleek black van, her arms still wrapped in a bandage. Next to her was a tall man with a scar across his jaw, Ryu, one of Jaemin's former lieutenants turned rival. She trusts him too much, Mincio whispered. That's his weakness. Ryu smirked. And yours. Mincio shot him a glare. I want her broken, not dead. I want Jaemin to watch her fall apart before I take him. Ryu chuckled. You've changed, Mincio. You used to be cold. Now you sound jealous. She turned to him sharply. I wanted him before she walked in with her perfume and her fake innocence. She made him forget who he was. Ryu leaned closer. Then let's remind him. He handed her a small tablet. On the screen was a live feed of Jaemin's penthouse. Someone inside was streaming the footage to them. Mincio smirked. Perfect. The little rat did his job. Ryu nodded. Your spy is in position. When the lights go out, it begins. Back inside the penthouse, Parton was cleaning the kitchen when she heard a faint clicking sound. It came from behind the living room wall, soft but rhythmic. She frowned and walked closer, pressing her ear to it. Sounded like typing. Jaemin? She called out. You hear that? He came over, gun in hand. Where? There. Behind the wall. He pressed a button on the control panel beside the door. The hidden security system screen flickered to life. Lines of unfamiliar code scrolled across it. His expression darkened. Someone's hacking in. Suddenly, all the lights went out. The penthouse plunged into darkness. Stay behind me, he ordered, pulling her close. A second later, the backup lights flickered on, dim and red. A single message flashed on every screen in the room. Hello, Jaemin. Did you miss me? MS. Parton gasped. She's in our system. Before Jaemin could respond, the glass wall behind them shattered. A sniper bullet slicing through the air. They ducked as shards rained down. Alarms blared. Move! He shouted, grabbing her hand. They ran toward the panic room, but the door didn't respond. It had been overridden. Someone inside jammed it, Jaemin growled. Parton's heart pounded. Who could? Before she could finish, the elevator dinged. Out stepped Quan, his face pale, eyes filled with guilt. Boss, I'm sorry, he said quietly. Parton froze. Quan? You? He lowered his gun. They have my family. I had no choice. Jaemin's voice was low and dangerous. You brought them here. A shadow moved behind Quan. Mincio appeared, holding her gun with a smirk. Miss me, love? Parton's blood boiled. You again. Mincio laughed. Oh, I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for balance. You know I want him, so I'll steal your peace. She nodded at Ryu, who stepped out of the elevator behind her. Finish it. Jaemin lunged, firing twice, hitting Ryu in the shoulder. Ryu staggered but shot back, grazing Jaemin's arm again. Parton screamed, grabbed a vase, and smashed it into Mincio's face. The gun dropped. The women wrestled again, Parton's strength shocking everyone. You'll never win. Black girl, Mincio hissed. Parton headbutted her. Watch me. Jaemin kicked Ryu's gun away and punched him hard, sending him sprawling into the broken glass. He turned just in time to see Parton raise Mincio's gun, trembling but fierce. This is for every time you tried to destroy us, she said. But before she could pull the trigger, Quan jumped in front of Mincio, yelling, Stop! Don't! The gun fired. The bullet hit Quan square in the chest. He fell instantly, eyes wide, a final whisper escaping his lips. Tell my daughter. I did it for her. Parton dropped the gun, shaking. Oh my God! Mincio used the moment to flee, limping toward the elevator. Jaemin fired, but the doors closed just in time. Smoke filled the penthouse. Alarms screamed. Jaemin grabbed Parton and pulled her to safety as the emergency sprinklers went off, raining water and glass over them. She buried her face in his chest, sobbing. She's never going to stop. He held her tightly, whispering, Then neither will we. Outside, from a speeding car, Mincio watched the burning penthouse through the rearview mirror. Her eyes were cold, emotionless. Phase 2 complete, she said into her phone. Move to Phase 3. The morning rain over Seoul fell like a sigh of exhaustion, soft, endless, washing away the smoke and blood of the night before. The penthouse was gone, burned down to black glass and memory. But deep in the southern docks, inside a quiet warehouse hidden behind stacked shipping containers, two lovers were planning the final war that would set them free. Parton sat at a wooden table rolling bandages. Jaemin sat shirtless before her, his shoulder freshly stitched from a bullet graze. Every time she pressed the antiseptic, he hissed in pain, and she grinned wickedly. "Stop moving," she scolded. "You act like a lion but cry like a cat." He chuckled hoarsely. "You're enjoying this too much." "Of course," she said, dabbing another wound. "That's for scaring me half to death." "Then you'll love this part," he muttered. "Because we're not done yet." Parton paused, her hand stilling. "You're not going back out there, are you?" He met her eyes, dark, tired, determined. "We don't have a choice. Mincio knows every one of my routes. As long as she's alive, we'll never be safe." Her lips trembled slightly, but she steadied her voice. "Then we end it, but this time together." He nodded. Together. They spread blueprints and maps across the table, diagrams of the city the tower Mincio had taken over, and tunnels underneath. She had gathered every remnant of his rivals, forming her own army and controlling all Jaemin's old networks. Parton pointed at the top floor. "This will be her command center. She'll stay high, like a vulture watching everything burn." Jaemin smirked. "She wants me alive long enough to watch me fall." "Good," Parton said, a dangerous spark in her eyes. "Then we'll make her come to us." He raised an eyebrow. "How?" Parton leaned forward, her smile mysterious. "Simple. We'll give her something she can't resist, your downfall." By evening, underground news networks buzzed with false reports. Mafia leader Park Jaemin, spotted alive, preparing to surrender to Interpol in exchange for immunity. The rumor spread like wildfire. Within hours, Mincio saw the message flash on her encrypted phone. Her jaw clenched. "So he plans to walk free?" she muttered. "After everything?" Ryu, her injured second-in-command, limped beside her. "If he really makes that deal, your entire operation collapses." Mincio's lips twisted into a cold smile. "Then we kill him before he speaks." Exactly what Parton predicted. That night, the rain returned. Cold, silver sheets falling over an abandoned subway station. The tunnels echoed with dripping water and flickering lights. Jaemin stood there, dressed in black, his gun holstered at his side. Beside him was Parton, her curls tied back, wearing a black vest over a simple outfit. She looked nervous but fierce. "You sure she'll take the bait?" she whispered. He nodded. "Mincio doesn't forgive. She only finishes what she starts." Parton sighed. "Remind me why I didn't marry a quiet teacher?" He chuckled softly. "You'd be bored." She smiled. "True." Then footsteps. Sharp, deliberate. Mincio appeared at the far end of the tunnel, gun drawn, face half-shadowed by the flickering light. Her expression was calm, deadly. "You really are hard to kill, Jaemin," she said coldly. He smirked faintly. "You should have aimed better." Her gaze shifted to Parton. "So this is the woman who made Seoul's coldest mafia man soft? The village girl with a rosary and an attitude." Parton tilted her head. "You talk too much for someone who hides behind men." Mincio's eyes narrowed. "I don't hide. I build. I built his empire, trained his men, carried his secrets. And how did he thank me? By treating me like an assistant." Jaemin's voice turned to steel. "You were never my equal, Mincio. You were an operative and a good one. But you sold my men's lives for money." She gave a small, bitter laugh. "Money buys freedom. Love only brings weakness." Parton stepped forward, her voice steady. "No, betrayal brings emptiness. And that's what you've become, empty." For a moment, Mincio's mask cracked. "You think you're better than me?" "I don't have to be," Parton said. "I just have peace. Something you'll never know." Mincio raised her gun. "Peace dies tonight." But before she could fire, floodlights burst to life above them. Dozens of armed men stepped out from the shadows. Jaemin's loyal soldiers, flanking both sides. Police sirens wailed from the upper tunnel as tactical units poured in. Mincio froze. "What is this?" Jaemin's voice was calm. Endgame. Every word you said recorded, broadcasted, and now evidence. Her hand trembled on the gun. You set me up? Parton smiled sweetly. No, honey. You set yourself up. Minseo's scream echoed as she fired wildly. But Jaemin was faster. One clean shot shattered the gun from her grip. Clattered to the ground. Parton walked over, heels echoing, and kicked the weapon away. It's over, she said softly. Stop before you lose your soul completely. Minseo glared up, tears of rage spilling. He'll never love you the way he loved power. Parton leaned closer. Maybe not, but he'll live for me, not die for greed. Police rushed in, handcuffing Minseo and her surviving men. The echo of their footsteps faded as they were dragged away into the night. Jaemin turned to Parton, his chest rising and falling slowly. The tunnel was quiet again. Only the sound of dripping water and their breathing. It's over, he whispered. Parton looked up at him. Eyes glossy, hair damp from rain. Promise me we're done with guns, Jaemin. He smiled faintly, pressing his forehead to hers. From now on, no guns. Just love. Hours later, they stood on a rooftop overlooking the city. Dawn began to break, casting gold across Seoul's skyline. Smoke had cleared. For the first time in months, peace didn't feel like a dream. Parton leaned into him, her voice soft. You know what I want now? What? He asked, brushing her hair back. A normal life. Breakfast without bullets. Dates without bodyguards. He chuckled. And prayers without arguments. She laughed. You remember. I remember everything, he said, kissing her hand. Even the day I fell in love with the black girl who dressed like a queen. She giggled. And now you can't live without her. Never, he whispered. As the sun rose higher, the skyline shimmered like hope. Behind them, news screens flickered with the headline. Underworld Queenpin Minseo arrested. Mafia empire disbanded. But to Parton and Jaemin, the only victory that mattered was this. His arm around her waist, her laughter echoing softly in the wind, and the promise that from now on, their battles would only be about who loved more. They walked away from the edge together, hand in hand. The war behind them, their love finally free. The city of Seoul had never looked so gentle. It was a week since Minseo's arrest, and for the first time in months, no sirens echoed through the streets, no shadows lingered behind tinted cars, and no coded messages flashed across Jaemin's phone. The underworld had gone silent, and peace, that rare, delicate thing, finally came to stay. Parton woke to soft sunlight spilling across the curtains. She blinked, disoriented for a second. No gunfire, no emergency calls, just birds and the faint smell of roasted coffee. When she turned, Jaemin was standing by the open balcony, shirtless, his scars glowing faintly in the morning light. A warm breeze ruffled his black hair. In his hands, 2 mugs of coffee. Morning, boss lady, he said, his tone teasing. Parton stretched lazily, the white silk sheets sliding down her shoulders. Boss lady? She repeated with a sleepy smile. I thought you retired. He smirked. I did. You're the boss now. She laughed softly. Please, I just want to be your piece, not your manager. He walked over, handed her the mug, and sat beside her on the edge of the bed. You already are my piece, he said quietly. You just don't know how loud my world was before you. Her smile softened. And you don't know how quiet mine was before you. They sat there for a moment, just breathing, watching the curtains sway. The past week had been a blur of statements, court hearings, and dissolving Jaemin's remaining businesses. The authorities had accepted his cooperation, and the world had started calling him the reformed Mafia prince. But to Parton, he was just the man who whispered prayers in his sleep. Later that morning, they decided to leave Seoul for a few days. The city carried too many memories. Blood, betrayal, smoke. They packed light, jeans, hoodies, and the simplest things they could find. Jaemin drove while Parton sang softly beside him, her fingers dancing out of the window, catching the wind. They took the long, coastal road toward Busan, where the ocean met the cliffs, where the horizon felt endless. It was the same road Jaemin once used to escape police convoys years ago, but now it led him toward freedom, not fear. After 5 hours, they stopped at a quiet seaside town. No skyscrapers, no guards, just fishermen, old cafes, and children running barefoot. They rented a small wooden cottage near the shore. The sea stretched endlessly in front of them, glowing blue under the sunlight. Parton stood barefoot in the sand, her curls dancing wildly in the wind. "You sure this isn't a dream?" she asked. Jaemin wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "If it is, I hope we never wake up." She smiled and whispered, "I love it here. I love us here." That evening, they cooked together in the tiny kitchen, something they hadn't done since the safe house days. Jaemin tried to chop onions, but Parton laughed at his clumsy hands. "You hold the knife like it's a weapon," she teased. "It used to be," he said, pretending to frown. "Now it's for cooking your favorite meal." She giggled. "You're dangerous in every form." He leaned closer. "You're not wrong." Their laughter filled the cottage, a sound so light it almost felt foreign. They ate by candlelight, sharing stories and feeding each other like teenagers rediscovering innocence. At one point, Jaemin said softly, "You know, I used to think peace was a myth. And now?" she asked, sipping her juice. "Now I know it's a person," he said. "And she's sitting right in front of me." Parton blushed, her eyes glistening. "Don't make me cry in front of my noodles." He grinned. "Then finish eating before I say more." When night came, they stepped outside to watch the stars. The air smelled like salt and jasmine. Jaemin spread a blanket on the sand while Parton lay beside him, tracing constellations with her finger. "Look," she whispered. "That one looks like a heart." He smiled. "You see love everywhere." "I do," she said softly, "because I've lived without it. And now that I have it, I see it in every light." Jaemin turned his head toward her, studying her face under the moonlight. "Do you ever regret any of it? Meeting me, the danger, the fear?" She thought for a moment. "Sometimes I replay it all in my mind. The nights we almost died, the pain, the hiding. But then I remember how you held me through it all. And I realize, even pain was beautiful when you were there." He swallowed hard, his heart tightening. "Parton," she placed a finger on his lips. "Shoo, we survived. That's what matters." He leaned in and kissed her. Slow, deep, tender. The sea roared behind them as if blessing their union. When he pulled back, his voice was rough. "I'm building something new," he said. "A security company, legal this time. I want to protect people instead of hurting them." Her eyes widened. "Really?" He nodded. "And I want you to run it with me. You're the reason I changed. You'll be the reason it grows." Parton laughed through tears. "A mafia man turning bodyguard? That's poetic." He smirked. "No, that's redemption." The next morning, Parton woke up early and stepped outside. The sun had just risen, painting the ocean gold. She wrapped a shawl around her shoulders and whispered a short prayer of gratitude. Behind her, Jaemin came out quietly and hugged her from behind. "What are you praying for?" he murmured. "For time," she said. "That it slows down for us." He smiled, kissing her temple. "Then let's live like it already has." They walked hand in hand along the shoreline, leaving footprints in the wet sand. The waves washed over them, erasing each step, but not the feeling. For the first time, their story wasn't about running or revenge. It was about breathing, healing, and belonging. And as the wind carried their laughter across the sea, it was clear that the world had finally given them permission to love without fear. Morning light spilled across the marble floor, kissing every corner that had once echoed with fear. Guards patrolled outside, but inside, love had taken over again. Parton stood in front of the mirror, wearing a silky red nightdress that shimmered like a secret. Her curls framed her glowing face, and a slow, teasing smile curved on her lips as she dabbed perfume behind her ear. Her reflection looked nothing like the scared woman who once hid in the mountains. This was the new Parton, soft, bold, and dangerous in the best way. She whispered to her reflection, "Mrs. Park, it's time to remind your husband what peace tastes like." Downstairs, Jaemin was on the phone. giving his final orders to his men. "No one touches my wife, my home, or my peace again," he said coldly. "We're done with bloodshed." He ended the call, took a deep breath, and leaned against the wall. For the first time in years, his heart felt light. Then he heard it, the soft click of heels behind him. He turned and froze. Parton was coming down the stairs slowly, one hand brushing the rail, her silk nightdress flowing behind her like liquid fire. Every step was deliberate, confident. She wasn't just walking. She was owning the moment. Jaemin swallowed hard. "You're going to make me forget how to breathe." She grinned. "Good. Breathing is overrated anyway." He chuckled, walking toward her. "And what's the occasion?" Parton stopped in front of him, her perfume surrounding him like temptation. "Peace," she whispered. "And you?" Jaemin brushed a strand of hair from her face, his touch gentle. "You look like a dream." "And you?" she teased, tracing his jawline. "Look like a man who needs to be reminded what a real queen feels like." His smirk deepened. "I've missed this fire." She leaned closer, her lips brushing his ear. "Then stop missing it." They spent the day together like two people learning how to live again. No guards, no guns, no fear. Just laughter echoing through the mansion. They cooked together, fighting playfully over seasoning. They danced in the kitchen, bare feet sliding on the marble floor. At one point, Jaemin twirled her around and she giggled like a girl again, carefree, alive. Later, on the balcony, they watched the sunset dye the city orange and pink. Parton leaned into him, head resting on his shoulder. "You know what I realized?" she said softly. "What?" "I don't want a big mansion, or bodyguards, or fancy jewelry. I just want peace, and you beside me." Jaemin smiled, kissing her forehead. "Then that's exactly what you'll have." She sighed happily. "And maybe a new wardrobe, because your enemies shot holes through my last one." He laughed. "Deal." That night, the rain came softly. The city lights shimmered outside, and thunder rolled in the distance. Parton stood by the window, wearing his white shirt now. It hung loose on her body, making her look both innocent and dangerously beautiful. Jaemin watched her quietly from the bed, his gaze soft and full of wonder. "You know," he said, "when I first met you, you scared me." She turned, surprised. "Me? Scared you?" He nodded. "You had fire in your eyes. I thought I'd tame you, but you ended up taming me." Parton chuckled. "Good, because I don't do submissive." He pulled her closer. "I know, and I don't want you to." Their lips met, slow, passionate, full of everything they'd survived together. It wasn't just love anymore. It was healing. Afterward, they lay tangled under the sheets, the sound of rain washing away the last pieces of their old pain. Hours later, Jaemin stirred awake. He felt Parton's hand resting gently over his chest. She was staring at him, smiling quietly. "What?" he asked, sleepy-eyed. She hesitated, biting her lip, that mischievous sparkle returning to her gaze. "I was going to wait till morning," she said softly. "For what?" Parton leaned in and whispered, "To tell you, you're going to be a father." Jaemin froze. His eyes widened. "Wait, are you?" She nodded, tears filling her eyes. "Yes, it's real this time." For a moment, the world stood still. Then he broke into the widest smile she had ever seen. He pulled her into his arms, kissing her forehead, her cheeks, her lips, everything. He whispered against her skin, voice trembling with joy. "You've given me life again, Parton." She laughed through tears. "Told you peace tastes good." Outside, thunder rumbled softly, not as a warning this time, but as applause from the heavens. Inside the Park Mansion, love had finally won. The Mafia war was over. The secrets were buried. And in their place bloomed a new beginning, one heartbeat at a time.
Hello, besties. In this sweet story, we learn that true love is proven through patience, trust, and forgiveness, not just passion. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and share.